At the time of this recording, it would be 4.045.666 years. That is how long Elon Musk, the founder of SpaceX and Tesla, expects to live. If he spent the average American wage of $54,132 per year. To put it another way, even if you could save an unrealistic 50% of your salary and stash it under your mattress every year, it would take you 8.1 million years to accumulate Elon's wealth. Okay, we cannot all be the richest people on the planet. But how about $1 million? That couldn't possibly be that difficult. Assume you're a typical engineer earning $80,000 per year. It would take 16 years to earn $1 million. However, this does not include rent, food, or the cost of living. And if you save 10% of your earnings diligently and consistently, it will take you between 156 years to save your way to $1 million. The average teacher has 217 years of experience, while the average bartender has 625 years. You see, for the wealthy, wealth is measured in terms of time. If you were to lose your job tomorrow, how long could you live on your savings for in days, months, or years? That is the definition of riches. So, how long could you put up with this book? We'll provide you with financial knowledge that you most likely lacked as a child. The secret financial intelligence that wealthy families pass down from generation to generation that the education system and your parents failed to teach you is why so many people are forever trapped in the rat race. By the end of this video, you will have learned 95% of what this book has to offer. You'll get a bird's eye view of all the key concepts and quotes that will change your perspective on wealth and guide you on your path to financial freedom. Let's get started. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The Tale of Two Fathers. One has a wall full of degrees and diplomas, one is a high school dropout, and one will leave nothing but debt behind after death. The other will have passed away. One of Hawaii's wealthiest men, he will leave his fortune to his children. Rich Dad guys are two boys on a journey to discover how to best use their minds in limited time to create wealth through investments and business. This story demonstrates the distinction between I can't afford that and how can I afford that. His poor father would say things like I'll never be rich, and his predictions came true. His wealthy father. Even after going bankrupt and having $0, I'd consider myself a wealthy man. There's a distinction to be made between being poor and being broke. His temporary poverty is eternal. Lesson 1, the rich do not work for money, the middle class does. The wealthy have money working for them. When the author of this book, Robert Kiyosaki, was 9 years old, Mike, his best friend, and he inquired of Rich Dad Mike's father on how to make money. They were soon both working for Rich Dad's companies. The only issue Robert had was his weekly salary of $10, which was below the poverty line. Every week, he seriously considered quitting. That went by, and I wondered who this guy was to exploit us for 10 cents a week. He'd think to himself. It was at this point that Rich Dad taught them their first lesson. On the subject of money, we are all pushed around by life. Some people give up on another person's fight. They welcome life pushing them around if you learn the lesson to move on. Most people leave their jobs because they are not paid enough, otherwise, they would have quit. However, the wealthy see it as an opportunity to learn one of life's most dangerous traps. They toil away for little pay, clinging to the illusion of job security. 3 weeks off and a meager pension. People's lives are always ruled by two emotions: greed and fear. This is how the pattern works. Your fear of running out of money drives you to work harder. Then the paychecks start coming in, and your desire and greed for new cars, new products, new shoes and clothes kicks in. You want more things, so you work harder for that promotion. The pattern is then set, and you're stuck in it. You get up, go to work, come home, and pay your bills. Your increased income leads to increased spending, and this is the rat race. When the rich father reduced the two boys' wages to zero, Robert didn't dare to tell his poor father that he was working for nothing. They began working solely for knowledge, and their wealthy father forced them to consider ways to generate their own income. Two older comics were left lying around one of Rich Dad's stores one day, and this inspired them to open their first business. They reclaimed the old comics and set up a library in their basement, with students paying 10 cents to enter. Before they knew it, they were paying the sister $1 per week. They were earning $9.50 per week without even working. This was the start of their journey of making money work for them rather than them working for money. The key lesson is that getting a job is only a temporary solution. From the short-term challenge of earning enough to cover expenses to the long-term challenge of expanding your network, the more you earn, the higher your expenses become. This is human nature, and it is motivated by both fear and desire. Once you get stuck in this cycle, you are forced to work for someone else for the rest of your life. It is not how much money you make that matters, but how much money you keep. If you expect school to make you wealthy, you're looking in the wrong place. The primary goal of the educational system is to teach you how to be a good employee. However, it does a poor job of preparing you to be a good employer. The education system does not teach you how to manage your own personal finances or build wealth. In its current state, you can only rely on yourself to apply this knowledge and acquire assets that will allow you to earn money. Understanding the difference between an asset and a liability is the first pillar of financial literacy and escaping the rat race. An asset puts money in my pocket, whereas a liability takes money out of my pocket. Let's take a quick look at the income statement. Your income statement is money that comes into your pocket. Your expenses statement is money that comes out of your pocket. Things like rent, food, electricity, and clothing are listed here. An asset is something that allows its owner to earn money. A liability, on the other hand, generates expenditure. This is the cash flow generated by an asset. This is a liability's cash flow. Rich people amass assets. The poor and middle-class people accumulate liabilities that they mistake for assets. Graphs of cash flow patterns. Cash flow reveals how a person manages money. This is an example of a poor person's cash flow. They have a job, they are paid, they spend their entire salary, and they usually live paycheck to paycheck. This is the middle-class cash flow. They have jobs and are paid, but the majority of their money is tied up in liabilities and expenses, such as home loans, car loans, credit card debt, mortgage repayments, and taxes. They believe their home is an asset, but one day they find themselves with a liability column full of mortgage debt and credit card debt. This is a wealthy individual's cash flow. The wealthy are constantly looking for new ways to increase their asset columns. Their primary source of income comes from assets they have amassed over time. By focusing on a home, you are not creating an asset. You are constructing a liability rather than an asset. When it comes to houses, most people work their entire lives to pay for a home they may never own, incurring 30-year loans. You must pay property taxes, and the rates are completely beyond your control. Other home expenses must be met, and the value of your home does not always increase over time. The most important cost of a house, however, is all of the missed opportunities. If all of your money is tied up in a house and going out through the expense column in mortgage payments, it isn't being used to grow your asset column. Additionally, consider all of the other investment experiences you're missing out on. When you only concentrate on local residential real estate, here are some real-world examples. An apartment that generates monthly payments from a tenant, and the payments allow you to pay off the loan on that property. We value a business that does not require you to be physically present. Please keep Dad in mind. For Rich Dad, the house was an asset, but it was also a liability. This is how Poor Dad's income statement appears. Take note of the inflated liabilities, and this is the income statement for Wealthy Dad. He has built up his asset colony over time. Most people fall into this trap on a regular basis because they are financially illiterate. They are unaware of the relationship and distinctions between the balance sheet and the income statement. Why do people struggle? This is what your life will become if you do what the masses do. You work for 3 different people. You work for the company in order to be paid. You are enriching the owner and the shareholders. If you are in debt, you are working for the bank. Your mortgage and credit card payments enrich the bank. Finally, you are employed by the government. Before you even see your money, the government takes a cut. And the more you work, the more taxes you pay. Consider a calendar year. Every dollar you earn from January 1st to March 16th goes straight to the government if you're a regular person. That's 2.5 months of your year that you just gave to the government, multiplied by 40 years equals nearly 6 years. You only work to pay the tax man. The wealthy are aware of this. The majority of people do not fully understand the distinction between an asset and a liability, which is one of the main ways to get out of the rat race. Concentrate all of your efforts on acquiring assets that generate cash flow. Keep your debts and expenses to a bare minimum. Finally, which brings us to the next lesson. Take care of your own affairs. The most important lesson: it is not how much money you make that matters in life, it is how much money you keep and for how many generations. The key to accomplishing this is to be financially literate. Recognize the distinction between an asset and a liability. The wealthy create and acquire assets. The poor and middle classes have accumulated liabilities that they mistakenly believe are our assets. Take care of your own affairs. The wealthy are preoccupied with their asset columns. While everyone else is concerned with their income statements, Robert Kiyosaki's first professional job was anything but glamorous. He was a photocopier salesman for Xerox. Using the wages he earned, he invested into apartments, and after just 3 years, the revenue he was generating from his investments outpaced his salary. It was then time for him to leave Xerox and focus solely on his business. So what are some real assets you can begin focusing your attention on? Small black square. 1. Businesses that do not require your presence to operate. 2. Stocks. 3. Bonds. 4. Income producing real estate properties. And 5. Notes or IOUs. 6. Royalty payments from intellectual property, such as music scripts or patents. 7. Anything else that produces an income or appreciates in value, things like cryptocurrencies, websites, YouTube channels, etc. Once a dollar goes into your asset column, never let it come out again. Feed your asset column. Robert thinks of every dollar he puts into his asset column as an employee. Each dollar in my asset column was a great employee, making more employees to buy the boss a new Porsche. And the best thing about money is it can work for you 24 hours a day, and it can work for generations. The most important lesson: don't confuse your profession with your business. The middle class focus on their profession, and as a result they spend their entire lives building someone else's business. The wealthy, on the other hand, concentrate on developing their own businesses. Your profession focuses only on the income section of your personal income statement. Your business revolves solely around the asset column on your balance sheet.